Welcome to the 5th Annual Beacon Awards. We started the Beacon Awards in 2012 as a way of shining a light on some of the Shoreline's most stellar advocates and volunteers. We began by asking Shoreliners to nominate those friends and neighbors who've made the strongest impact in their communities. Over these past 5 years, we've received hundreds of nominations, and from that deep pool of inspiring stories, we have selected these 15 community heroes who best represent the spirit of the Shoreline. Let's meet our 2017 Beacon Award honorees. David Allen, Madison.
Well, I think the main organization would be the Madison Foundation, which is a community foundation located here in Madison. It's 20 years old, and the purpose is to create endowment funds for the continuation of the quality of life that we have here in Madison, whether it's an environmental fund or scholarships, social services. And over the years, we've developed a nice following. We have approximately 30 endowed funds, and then we have an unrestricted annual fund, and 13 directors, volunteer board of governors, if you will, of which I've won and have served as the treasurer and the president of that organization.
Mary Cacase, East Haven.
So I started volunteering in the early 1980s, and basically I started volunteering when I worked in banking, and the bank had many events and community organizations that they were involved in. So I started getting involved in those, one being the lighthouse in New Haven where they have the Christmas lights, volunteering for that. And I volunteered at the food pantry and taking my grandchildren with me. My biggest volunteering would be with the East Haven Fall Festival. We started that. I was one of the original committee members when we started that, and I did that for 20 years. And I volunteered for the tree lighting in East Haven.
Constance Fusco, Guilford.
I volunteered for Guilford Youth and Family Services and was president for a few years. That was my first experience because it was children, and I came out of education and was interested in children's programming. Then I volunteered for American University Women and was program director. And then after, I met Paula Schindler, who was running SIL. At that time, it was Shoreline Lifelong Learning Institute. She started it in 2007. I came in 2008. We had 10 programs at that time. And now, in 2017, we have over 60 programs a year, plus movies, both in Madison and Guilford. Wonderful thing about SIL is everyone is a volunteer, everyone. No one gets paid. I'm currently president of SIL, and I have to say, they work very, very hard.
Cindy GOLIA, North Haven.
I started volunteering when my daughter was in high school. I became the president of the Indian Booster Club. I served there for 2 years, and that kind of got the ball rolling. After kids graduated and went on, I started working with the North Haven Garden Club. I got interested in all the civic activities that they do. We do a lot of beautification around our town, strictly volunteer. We meet once a month. Besides that, there's numerous memorial gardens that we tend to. We have a large colonial garden. There's ongoing projects all throughout the town. We also volunteer with hospice. We go down once a month and we make arrangements for the patients' rooms and deliver them to the patients. The club all works together. If anybody is in charge of one garden, they send out notifications, and the rest of the club, kind of comes in, whoever can volunteer to help.
William HAWKE, Essex.
I've volunteered for a lot of organizations, starting with Middlesex Hospital's Lifeline group for close to 12 years. And then with my wife, we got involved in Soup Kitchen, which we're still involved in. Also, in the school year, I'm a member of Readers Aloud, and I read every Tuesday to the second grade and meet all these lovely children who give me all these wonderful letters of appreciation, which I save. I'm also involved in the backpack program where we pack lunches for needy kids at junior high and high school. And one of my favorite groups are the Essex Weeders. But once every Thursday, we're down at the islands in the front of the firehouse and under the bridge and maintain that whole strip of roses, picking up trash and weeding. I've been a library helper. I also volunteered in our church, Congregational Church in Essex. Been on every board and moderator, and now I'm a deacon.
Ray Hayes, Deep River.
Payward. What Payward does is take combat veterans, any war, out in the water, sailing. They can expect a day off from their own stress. Relaxed, calm, peaceful. That's all I'm trying to do, is give them a little recreational therapy that very few of them have ever been sailing. Because if they hadn't done it before, they certainly weren't about to go out after they had been in the service. So I'm trying to recreate that team and make it a positive. We're out on a beautiful afternoon sailing, and we're going to come back, because I like to take 2 or 3 guys, from the same squad. If I just change one guy's thought from the 22 a day that commit suicide, I'm successful. I'm working on a kid from New Haven right now that I hope will bring his 2 buddies with him that were together in Afghanistan.
Bo Hune, Guilford.
I've actually done a lot of volunteer work over the years, including groups like the Guilford Foundation and the Shoreline Institute of Lifelong Learning, Women and Family Life Center, a bunch of things with school organizations and so on. But my real passion involves prevention of teens getting involved with drugs and alcohol and the problem of addiction. My principal volunteer efforts are in a group called Guilford Day, Developmental Assets for Youth, and also another group called Lifelinks, which works with people in recovery from addiction.
Linda Honeycutt, Westbrook.
I volunteer for the Rockfall Foundation in Middletown, and I'm part of their grants committee. I'm also a team leader for the Shoreline Soup Kitchens. The bank has a team that we volunteer several times a year. I'm also involved with Westbrook Boy Scouts as a committee member and a merit badge counselor. And I'm involved with the Congregational Church of Westbrook. And in the past, I've been very involved with the Westbrook PTOs, elementary school, middle school, and high school, and project graduation.
Sue KRUCZEK, Guilford.
Well, it started with Guilford Day. That was my first involvement. Through the Guilford Day program, I got to meet Sean Scanlon. He brought me to speak at, I think, one of the first forums in Connecticut, but it was the first time that I personally publicly spoke and told Nick's story. People liked what I had to say, took a lot of interest in Nick's story, how his addiction started, and then ultimately, ended his life. When Nick entered high school, he was the starting center as a freshman on his hockey team, and right before his very first game, in the locker room, an upperclassman gave him a little white pill and said it would help him relax. And unfortunately, Nick took that pill, After high school, he had told his father that he actually never skated a game sober after that point. I would say one of the most important things I'm currently a part of is I've teamed up with the district attorney's office, and they have a program called HEDY. I get to go around to various schools throughout the state and tell his story as well. I know it's touched many people, and Nick has made a big difference. So, I'm still proud of him, even though he's not here. His work is continuing.
Renee McIntyre, Madison.
I co-founded the Co-Center for Grieving Children, which is a program for any child who's had a significant person in their family die. I was the program director for the first 5 years. I train all the facilitators, and I'm still actively involved. I'm also the clinical director for something called Camp Aaron, which is a free weekend camp, the first weekend in June, for any child that's had somebody significant in their life die. It's funded by private donations or public donations and the Moyer Foundation, and it was a direct response to Sandy Hook. Twice a year I go out to Best Friends Animal Sanctuary in Kanab, Utah, and get to play with dogs and horses, and that's a charity that's really important to me. And I also contribute to the Madison and Guilford ABC program. We were host parents in Madison, and now I see any of the young people, both for the boys and girls, pro bono, as a way to help them adapt to living in a community that's very different than the ones that they're familiar with. So I feel incredibly blessed to do the work that I do.
Susan Melchior, Clinton.
The current organizations that I volunteer for are the Old Brick, which is an historical building here in town, and I am on a committee that does the gardening around the building, and we do that once a week. That I do on Tuesday mornings. On Monday morning, I deliver Meals on Wheels, and I started both of these projects when I retired 3 years ago. And then the church that I belong to is the First Congregational Church here in Clinton. So we're developing the gardens around there.
Tom Odell, Westbrook.
Okay, I'll read this in his person, so he's speaking.
Absolutely.
Beyond family-related volunteering for church, neighborhood, and sports activities over the last 50 years, volunteer time has been dedicated to local, regional, and state environmental organizations that advocate, educate, and implement conservation programs that preserve forest and farmland, protect water resources, and provide opportunity for public recreation and education. It has been a learning and rewarding experience to work with and lead other volunteers with the same passionate interest in conservation of natural resources. Through Tom's work, he's helped protect more than 500 acres of forested land.
Jackie St. Peter, North Haven.
So the volunteer organizations I volunteer now are mostly with the kids, PTA, sporting events for the kids. I realized early on as my first daughter went to school, 20% of the people do 80% of the work, so I volunteered for PTA and have been there ever since. I'm the North Haven High School PTA president now, and I raise money for my daughter's skating team, which they're not funded by the town. Makes it very difficult for the families to afford to have them play hockey. So we constantly fundraise. We're out shaking a can in front of Stop and Shop on the weekends. And then we also, I think that teaches the girls that if you want something, you have to work hard for it. So they're out there with us working and going and asking for donations. And they're not only getting to play hockey, they're also being introduced to the business world and learning communication skills and lots of other stuff that they can use later on. So.
Jeff Vailette, Branford.
well over 25 years ago, I got involved with the Branford Festival. I was invited to get involved by John Moss and Bill O'Brien. They asked me to help out, jumped on board with the food vendors and orchestrated that with, back then I think it was John Kessler was part of that group also. And so I liked what I was doing for the committee, and I continued on and worked hard and pushed up the ranks to, you know, chairman, and made my way to the board where I'm currently serving on the board for the Branford Festival Corporation. And, you know, we kind of set the direction of the committee and how the festival runs along for the Father's Day weekend in town. That led to, you know, other things, of course. I got asked to help out, take over the Branford fireworks display when the American Legion was unable to carry it on. And Alex Paluzzi invited me to take over that. He pushed me into the chairmanship, and been doing the fireworks display for about 15 years for the town. That's another good project, and that, you know, feels good to be part of helping out and doing things for Branford.
HEDY WATROUS, Deep River.
What I've been doing lately started in 2004 after the tsunami hit Thailand. I had just joined Rotary because I was still a newbie in the club. I was in Deep River Rotary. It happened during the week, and I called this man who had Lanka Foods and in the middle of the night, and then he told me he could get food and products to Sri Lanka, and he had a plane. 3 days later, before anybody else was on the ground, the stuff had landed. But our projects here are obviously not that. These are water projects for children all over the world, mostly Asia and Africa. So we build schools and we dig wells, and so, you know, we've done a lot of work with Simply Smiles down in Mexico. I went down there with them and we fed people. We did a food distribution. So that's really my joy, is international work. I love doing things locally as well. We're doing some projects in Killingworth. I'm in the Haddam-Killingworth Rotary now. You know, our dinners fund these projects, and we're getting a grant actually to work in Miramar to do this cleanup project. We start in March and we do one dinner a month. That's all I can afford to do. And 100% of the money that comes in goes to do the work. We're also doing a project to donate diapers to poor mothers in the whole area, not just Haddam-Killingworth. We're looking for mothers who can't afford that, so we're raising money for that. We've donated we're involved with the Syrian Refugee Project. So we had a dinner that helps to fund a Syrian family to come here. But I just, you know, I want people to know that every time you write a check to Rotary, you can say where it goes, you can say what you want it to do, and you can be assured that 100% of your money is doing this work.
We've heard what these honorees do for the community. Now let's learn what that service does for them.
You volunteer because you feel that you can help someone or help the community, not for what you're looking to get out of it. You're looking to help people, and that's important to me. And it's easy to me. It's easy to volunteer. It's just feel that it's something that's necessary to do.
I think everybody does this. I don't think I'm special. I think that people are generally good-hearted and really want their communities to succeed.
To bring joy to others and expect nothing in return is the main thing, and that's my main reason for volunteering, because it's just, I get a lot of happiness out of it. It makes me content and happy to make other people smile, I guess you could say.
It's intoxicating. You start doing it, you feel really good, you want to do more, you do more, then you feel really great, and then you want to do more, and every time you do something, you want it to be bigger and better, and you want to help more people, especially children. And we have so much privilege. We have so much that we don't even realize how much we have. And when you do with little money that I have, because I don't have a lot of money, the little money that I do can change a village, an entire village, and they can drink the water. That's the least we can do.
It would never occur to me not to volunteer. I feel incredibly blessed to have the resources available to me that I do. I think what we taught our kids, that as haves, we have a responsibility to the have-nots, not because we're better, but because we're lucky enough to have resources. And I'm lucky enough to have a lot of energy, and so I like to share that.
And we're doing it for them. I mean, you know, I know I'm here getting, you know, an award, but, you know, I'm doing it for the people. I mean, you know, does it make me feel good? I said, yes, it does, of course, but, you know, giving back to the community makes you feel even better.
we have tried ever since then to give back and participate in almost everything within reason that we can to support and give back. You know, that's important. When you're given that much, I think it's important to give back as much as you possibly can.
I want to thank Essex Savings Bank for their support over the years and for providing me with the flexibility and encouragement to continue to volunteer and be part of the community. The bank has made a big commitment to the local community, and they really encourage their employees to do the same, and I'm very fortunate to have that.
I guess I would like to thank the other members of the Garden Club. They've been quite an inspiration. Fantastic bunch of ladies, and I'd like to thank them.
And then the Community Foundation of Middlesex County, great people, all of them. I gotta say that. Community Foundation of Middlesex County, great people. They stepped in and gave me a grant for new sale covers. Wonderful. And I'm very grateful for all the people like that give me this wonderful Beacon Award that I'm so proud of, and thank you very much.
I'd like to thank my family for putting up with all the years of volunteering, my husband who put up with all the years of volunteering, and my grandchildren were great when they helped me help volunteering. They actually liked it, and I feel like getting them involved gave them a sense of that it's necessary to volunteer and it's necessary to give back to your community.
I have to thank my wife and daughter, because April, for all the times I've been away, and Megan, I think, you know, I'd leave on Monday morning, come home Friday night. I don't think I saw Megan for a number of years. My daughter, I exaggerate a little bit, but I think without their support and willingness to let me do what I truly love doing, you know, it would be tough. And then of course my current and past directors of the Madison Foundation, especially you know, Mo Dalton, Lori and Jack Heflin, Jeff Palmer. These are people that allowed me to have a place at the table.
Well, I certainly would like to thank the person that nominated me for this award, and it was very nice of her to want to recognize me. But I'm just one of many people that are volunteering, and I volunteer with many, so it's really an award for everybody that I'm in contact with.
This is Roscoe Pico Train.
You've done a lot, actually. You've got quite a list.
Well, I could go on, but I won't.
Okay.
I'm losing track of my questions because I'm getting caught up in what you're saying. So I'll just come back to my little page.
So you're listening, good.
I'm always listening. That's why Chris likes me to come. He's like, I read the questions, but you like get in there.
Yeah.
Could I strike that and start all over
Yes,
with that?
yeah.
Oh God. Okay. You'll edit all the. Okay.
Good.
You're very clear and concise.
I had my notes that I've been looking at all day.
That's it.
That's it.
You're all done.
Oh my goodness.
Told you it was going to be.
Yeah. I wish I could have thought of a joke.
No, it's okay.
One second. You're okay. No, you're fine. We pause.
Too late now.
It's okay.
Well, you're like, I thought you were a hitchhiker.
I was trying to get behind you.
Yeah, we'll go pick you up on our dinghy.
Yeah, great. You're done. That's it.
Wow. I hope you make that good.
Yeah, I will.
That was crazy.